The Pacific Ocean is bigger than we can even imagine. If a hole were made all the way back through the Earth from the Pacific Ocean off the coast of Chile, it would still emerge back into the Pacific Ocean on the other side of the Earth. You might be surprised to know that the total land area of our world is only 148 million square kilometers, whereas the Pacific Ocean covers a staggering 165 million square kilometers. This means that if we disregard all the other options, the Pacific Ocean alone is much larger than all the mountains, deserts, jungles, and islands combined. Within this vast expanse, there are only the tiny Chatham Islands, which are so small that they are hardly noticeable when compared to the massive ocean. And the most astounding part is that most of this ocean is uninhabited, with no human footprints in many areas. In fact, if someone were to get lost in the Pacific Ocean, the chances of finding them would be almost zero. But today, you're going to hear the real story of a person who got lost in the Pacific Ocean, not for 10 or 15 days, but for 438 days. Yes, this person set a world record for spending the most time alone in the ocean, a record that is unlikely to be broken anytime soon. This record was set by a man named José Alvarenga, who survived alone in the Pacific Ocean for 438 days on a small boat. And he did it all alone with only a 7-foot boat to keep him afloat. But the question is, how did he survive in the ocean for 14 months? Let's find out. It was November 17, 2012, when Jose, a 36-year-old desperate fisherman from a small village called Costa del Sol in Mexico, set out with a fishing partner. Their plan was to spend only 30 hours at sea. They didn't carry much with them on their small boat, just a few supplies and a cooler to store the fish. Little did they know that the next 438 days would become the most harrowing of their lives. They had ventured 120 kilometers off the coast of Mexico when suddenly a fierce storm hit. In a desperate attempt to save their lives, they abandoned their fishing nets and tried to return to the shore. After 6 hours of battling the storm, they were only 20 kilometers from shore and could see their village in the distance. But then disaster struck. Their boat's engine failed and they were left stranded. They had no means of controlling the direction of the boat, and the only thing they had was a radio. Jose sent a distress signal to his boss with their location, but as they waited for a response, the radio battery died, and all communication with the outside world was lost. To make matters worse, strong winds began to push them back into the ocean. The shore they had seen was now getting farther away. Despite a search party being sent out, they were unable to find the pair. And as the days passed, their chances of survival grew slimmer. After 5 days, they were 450 kilometers away from shore, drifting in an area of the ocean where, in every direction, there was nothing but water. They realized that their boat was too small to be spotted from a distance, and they didn't have the resources to send any signals. With no food left, they started catching birds that landed on their boat, or fishing for anything they could eat. They even drank rainwater, collecting it in plastic bottles floating around them. Surviving on raw fish and bird meat, they faced extreme mental and physical torture. After a few months, Jose's fishing partner couldn't take the agony any longer and tragically committed suicide on May 4th. Now, Jose was completely alone on his small boat in the vast Pacific Ocean, a place that is known as one of the quietest and most desolate parts of the sea. For over 6 months, Jose remained in this lonely struggle for survival, growing more desperate with each passing day. But then, something remarkable happened. After 11 months at sea, Jose finally saw a cargo ship passing by. It was the first ship he had seen in all that time. Desperate, he signaled to the ship, but unfortunately, the crew did not see his small boat, and the ship sailed on, leaving Jose's hopes shattered once again. However, after 438 days, something changed. In January 2014, after nearly 14 months of drifting at sea, Jose spotted coconuts floating in the water. He realized that he was approaching an island. He hesitated for a moment, fearing that the island might slip past him, but eventually, he swam toward it. He made it to land and set foot on an island for the first time in over a year. It was a remote island in the Marshall Islands called Ebon Atoll, and it was over 11,000 kilometers from his starting point. Jose had made it, and it was here that he finally encountered people, locals who had lived on the island. This was the first human contact he had in over 14 months. The island was so remote that he could have easily missed it. Had he missed it, the next stop would have been the Philippines, 5,000 kilometers away. Jose was eventually rescued and taken back to his home. However, his troubles didn't end there. He was accused of killing his partner and was later involved in a legal battle over his death. Despite this, Jose published a book about his 438-day ordeal, which he titled 438 Days. This incredible story is a reminder of the sheer vastness and unforgiving nature of the Pacific Ocean. It's a testament to the strength of the human spirit and the will to survive, even in the most unimaginable circumstances.